Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flipping Junkie podcast and the vlog that we've got on YouTube now. So if you go to youtube.com/flippingjunkie, you can check out some of these videos that I'm shooting now from in my car. And I'll probably be doing some other ones in houses and stuff like that. But so I'm driving and I'm just been thinking about, a lot of people that we talk to that are, getting into flipping houses and trying to find traction and trying to find the ability to scale and to get consistent with doing deals. And some of that comes from like AdWords and people concerned sometimes with spending the money on AdWords. And it reminded me of a situation that we've faced in the past and what other people have faced with regards to direct mail. And it's basically that, and for the longest time we did this. So we would do a direct mail campaign. We commit to it. We think that maybe 500 letters or 500 postcards was a lot for a list, right? And so we'd mail it out, and then we'd get kind of an abysmal response when you consider the fact that 0.5% is a good response sometimes on direct mail, and 0.5% of 500 would be like what, 20, 25 or 2.5? See, that's math. It's not good, whatever it is. So yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to drive and record a video and do the math. So 100 would be 0.5% would be 0.5, so 200. Yeah, so it'd just be 2.5 responses, right? So, and the likelihood of them being somebody that wants to sell and then sell at a discount is pretty slim. And I see people doing this all the time, and they will do 500 or 1,000 pieces, mail it a couple times, and look and say, man, I've spent $1,500 or $2,000, and I don't have anything to show for it. I got maybe one lead, or I got maybe 2 leads, and they didn't work out. Well, if you look at the math from the other point of view of what are people typically paying per deal to get a deal, and then how much you've spent on these different marketing channels, it'll show you that you shouldn't expect to get a deal. Like, people that do that somewhat get a little bit lucky, right? And it's not consistent to just do like 500 letters and get a deal. And so lately, from what we experience and what I've talked to a lot of other investors that scale up and get a lot of leads and a lot of deals, is that we're spending anywhere between, on the very low end, about $1,500 per deal, up towards about $5,000 a deal, and the average in there is somewhere around $3,500 to $4,000 per deal. And so if you spend $1,500 or $2,000 on mailings, and they get disappointed that you don't get a deal, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit what typically people are spending, especially in the bigger markets. In some of the smaller markets, maybe where there's not as much competition, that might be a good average number for a deal. But when you look at it from that point of view, then you'll realize, like, hey, this isn't likely to generate that kind of volume or generate the deal. And the other part of that equation that I think sometimes that's not talked about is, it's not just getting leads that determines how many deals you're going to get. There's so many variables, and really the big one is, how well do you close? When you get those leads, how well do you manage them? How well do you turn them into conversions, into deals? How well do you get the seller to agree to sell to you? And obviously that varies a lot between people on different experience levels, where a newer person might take 10 to 20 leads to turn into a deal. And a more experienced person might be able to do that within 5 or 6 leads. Every 5 or 6 leads becomes a deal. And so where I'm going with that is, if you are likely, if you're looking at spending on average $250 to $300 even per lead, how many of those is it likely to take to get a deal? So if it's 10 and you're spending $350 per lead, which is not a crazy number per lead. A lot of people are paying more than that to get a lead. And it takes you 10 leads to get a deal on average. You're looking at spending $3,500. So where this is going is every time that we ever in the past got timid on sending out letters, we didn't want to spend a whole lot. We wanted to test the waters a little bit. It didn't generate a lot of leads, and obviously didn't generate much in the way of deals. Now the same thing goes for AdWords, and if you want to go in there and say, well, I want my budget to be $1,000 a month, what should you expect then to get a deal that's going to produce returns? $1,000 a month, if you're looking at maybe, spending about $3,000 or a little bit over per deal, that's going to take you at least 3 months, right? So after 2 months, it's easy to get disappointed. I understand it, and it's very common, and I still get this way too. And it's hard to see past that, and it's kind of hard to double down and see it that way from that point of view. To spend the money in a month, have a budget of $4,000 maybe in a month, to have a higher likelihood of getting a deal. And here's where that helps out a lot, is because you're not 3 months with no deal, and you're looking at, okay, all this money went to a black hole, and I'm scared. I don't want to cut it off because I don't want to, make all that go to waste because I never got a deal from it. With direct mail or any marketing channel, a website or anything, and to double down or to say, like, I need to commit to spending a good amount of money on these AdWords ads, and to try to get that deal in that first month, to me is a little bit smarter, and it's harder to commit to that. But when you do that, you're more likely to get a deal, and if you get a deal, you're looking at making $20,000, $25,000, some people $30,000, $40,000 on a flip, and then it's like a no-brainer. Like, I spent $3,000, but I got this deal that's going to make me $25,000. It's a no-brainer. I'm going to keep doing it. But when you're in and saying, I don't want to spend more than $1,000, and 2 months, 3 months goes by and you don't have a deal yet, you're going to be more likely to just say, you know what, this isn't working, I'm going to try something else. And so there's the big thing. There's the big secret. And I think a lot of people don't find success in this business, marketing to motivated sellers, because they do it just piecemeal, and they're not understanding what the real costs that the majority of people are really spending to get leads and deals. And so that's a huge takeaway, and I hope you maybe watch this or listen to this again, because understanding that and committing to that is scary, but I think that'll help get over that hump that most people give up. And I would wager that 90% or more people that try motivated seller marketing jump around to different things because that's what they're doing. They're trying to get away with spending only $500 and getting a deal, and it's just not likely. You could get lucky, but it's not going to be consistent. And like I said, busier markets and slower markets, where there's not as much competition, are going to be a little bit different. So it's more of talking with the other investors in your area and kind of getting their idea of what they're spending. And a lot of people won't share that, but if you've got friends, you guys can maybe talk about that a little bit and find out. And like I said, it's not unheard of for people to pay over $5,000 per deal in markets when they're scaling up and wanting to do 100 deals in a year. So it's good to see things from that perspective. But so what are you expecting to spend per deal, per lead? What are you expecting? What does that look like to you? And this would be awesome for people to share. If you go to the show notes page on the flippingjunkie.com for the podcast, or just go to the youtube.com/flippingjunkie, and in the comments for this video, it'd be awesome to hear what you guys are spending or finding that you're spending per lead and per deal, and to just so everybody can kind of share notes. You don't have to say where you are or your market or any of that kind of stuff, but you can see what those numbers look like. So that'd be awesome. And be sure to subscribe on YouTube and on iTunes for the podcast, and really appreciate you guys listening and watching the video logs and listening to the podcast. It's really helpful for me to keep doing it and sharing, and I hope you're getting a lot out of it. I get a lot of emails from everybody talking about it, a lot of ratings, reviews for the podcast on iTunes, so I know you guys out there are listening and getting stuff from it. It's kind of weird because I'm always doing these things. I'm kind of talking to you, but there's no response back. I can't see you. You're not responding back to me while I'm talking, and so sometimes it seems like, is anybody listening to this? But we've gotten we've got a ton of downloads for the podcast, and there's a big audience, and so I do appreciate it when you guys communicate and leave comments and rating and reviews on iTunes, stuff like that. But thanks a lot, and I've got a great, maybe in the next one, maybe in the next video I'll share. We've got a situation where a guy is kind of stole our software. And I'm not talking about just like copy it, but I'm talking about like the exact sales page with a different name, and it's hilarious. You know, and again, it's like not what happens to you with business and everything in life, it's how you react to it, right? So if you can react with a smile and laugh about it, like what is it? Thomas Edison, when his factory was burning, his whole factory, everything, all of his stuff in it was burning, and he told his son to go get his wife or whatever. Thomas Edison's wife, so she could come see it, because they'll never see anything like that again. Like it was something to look at, just to be in awe of, but not sweat it. Like if you can't change it, don't sweat it. Just how you react to it and decide on what to do afterwards or in reaction to it is what determines how it's going to go. So anyway, see you guys next time on the podcast and the video log.